Welcome guys to the stats video. We're going to take a quick look at the offense, defense, efficiency, turnovers, and some individual stats, so stick around for that. Let's get right into it. 10 teams. Gators right on the top when it comes to the offense and total yards. Piranhas, Werewolves, Vipers looking like the top 4 when it comes to the offensive total yards. And then we're looking for the bottom 4 offenses. Here are the Dragons, or Bears should I say, Dragons, Cobras, and Rhinos when it comes to lackluster offensive explosion total yards, so to speak. Anyways, let's now take a look at the total offense. Here, or passing yards. Let's take a look at the passing yards, here, and because that's total offensive yards and this is total yards, so that's, I guess, including the special teams. So when it comes to offensive yards, Piranhas, Gators, Blue Jays, which are very shocking that the Blue Jays are up there when it comes to offensive yards, I guess because of all the running yards, but Werewolves are up there as well, Vipers, Rhinos, and the bottom are the Bears, Cobras, Dragons, and Wildcats, surprisingly, and Rhinos, who actually have good records, are not really doing well when it comes to the offense as of late. Now, when it comes to the passing yards, Gators, Piranhas, and the Cobras are way up there with the best passing yards, passing offenses. And then we look at the bottom passing offenses. Starts with the Rhinos, Werewolves, Blue Jays, and Vipers. Now let's take a look at the rushing yards. Rushing yards, Piranhas are actually right in the front with the Rhinos and the Blue Jays. Werewolves are up there all over 1,000 yards. And then you look at the bottom is the Bears, Cobras, Dragons. Looks like a trend is setting here when it comes to points per game. 37, 36, 33 for the Rhinos. And then it goes 26, 26, and 28 for Dragons, Cobras, Wildcats. Taking a look at points per game now. Let's take a look at the passing touchdowns. There's 23 passing touchdowns came from the Piranhas, 20 and 20 from the Gators and Vipers. Then we'll take a look at the bottom, Cobras, 14 passing touchdowns so far in 7 games. Rhinos have 15, then the Bears. So the Bears and Cobras are definitely lacking on offense, but you see the passing game for the Rhinos is actually been struggling a little bit. But look at it, the rushing touchdowns when it comes to the Rhinos. 13 rushing touchdowns. Werewolves are right up there with 11, which I'm not surprised, but the Gators really turning the running game around, getting 10 rushing touchdowns now, and Blue Jays up there as well. But when it comes to rushing touchdowns, no one has less than the Dragons so far, only 3 rushing touchdowns, so that's a big problem that I could see the Dragons addressing early. So yeah, that's only 3 touchdowns on the ground so far, so that's a big one. And only 5 rushing touchdowns from the Vipers, which is really surprising, because they got you-know-who, the great Phil Clemens, one of the best running backs in the league, so it's surprising to see them so low when it comes to rushing touchdowns. When it comes to first downs, no one's got more than the Piranhas, Werewolves, Vipers, and the Blue Jays. So the Vipers have been able to get lots of first downs without needing to run the ball, clearly. Rhinos have the least amount of first downs, and Cobras, Wildcats, and the Bears. But the Rhinos, 80 to 116. That is a big difference when it comes to first downs. Sacks allowed, so the most sacks is the Piranhas. They obviously throw it a lot. They have the most passing touchdowns, and they're out there a lot throwing the ball. So they've allowed 10 sacks so far. Werewolves have allowed 8, and the Cobras have allowed 7. Bears have allowed 5. Who's allowed the least amount is the Rhinos, because they do not get sacked. That is for sure, because they run that ball. And the Blue Jays as well, they do not get sacked at all as well. And even though the Dragons have not been playing well, Blue Jays and Dragons have not been playing well, but they do not let up sacks. Neither do these Gators, who have been playing actually really well as well. So only 3 sacks on the season. That's pretty impressive. So let's take a look at the defense. When it comes to the defense, let's look at passing yards. We'll look at the total yards first. The most yards allowed is the Cobras and the Rhinos and Werewolves and Dragons, all up there allowing quite a few yards, over 3,000 from the two Rhinos and Cobras. And then when we look at the least amount of yards, it is the Blue Jays, Wildcats, Vipers, and Piranhas. Actually, look at the Bears. The Bears are way up there when it comes to least amount of total yards, even though they don't have the best record right now. When it comes to passing yards, the most passing yards allowed is the Rhinos by a humongous margin, almost 400, 300, almost 300, over 310 yards passing over the next leader, which is the Bears. Have been struggling to stop the pass. They can stop the run, the Bears, but cannot stop the pass. Neither can the Cobras and the Gators. So this is definitely showing what these guys are allowing, but a lot of teams are allowing these many yards. So that is nothing surprising because of how well these offenses roll. Blue Jays and Piranhas, Wildcats and Vipers. I'm not surprised to see these Wildcats, Vipers, and Piranhas here, but to see the Blue Jays again, really strong secondary, even though they do not have the record to show for it. Let's look at rushing. No one's allowed more rushing yards than the Cobras, and the Werewolves have allowed over 1,000 rushing yards going against them. Piranhas also have allowed quite a few rushing yards, which is surprising to see. Who's allowed the least amount of rushing yards? And that's the Rhinos. Rhinos have the best rushing defense right now with the Bears and the Wildcats only allowing 700 yards in 7 games. So that's really good. When we take a look at sacks, so I know the Rhinos only let up 2 sacks, but they get sacks. So they might not let up sacks, but they definitely get home. Rhinos get 9 sacks so far in 7 games. That's extremely good. Werewolves get home as well, and so do the Gators and Bears. These guys know how to get the quarterback to the ground, so that's really exciting to see that these Rhinos are on the top when it comes to sacks. But look at these Blue Jays and Dragons, only 1 sack so far on the season in 7 games. That is very bad. Piranhas actually and the Wildcats are down here, which I'm surprised to see because the Piranhas and Wildcats have a decent record, or one of the best records, should I say, and the Piranhas have only had 3 sacks in 7 games, which is shocking because their 2 defensive ends seem to cause so much pressure and problems in the backfield for opposing offenses. So that's really surprising to see. 6 interceptions, so the Rhinos get lots of sacks and they get lots of turnovers. 6 interceptions, tying for first place with the Bears. Bears got 4 of these interceptions actually in week 1, so this may be a little deceiving. They've only had 2 interceptions in the past 6 games. So keep that in mind. Even though they are way up there, they need to get back to those winning ways they were doing in week 1 and 2. But yeah, look at these Rhinos, 9 sacks, 6 interceptions. Bears, 6 interceptions. Dragons actually have 5 interceptions, which I'm shocked to see. And the Wildcats and Werewolves are up there. So the Werewolves actually looking really good as well with 8 sacks and 5 interceptions. Very good on the defense, which I'm shocked to see because their defense has not been ranked really well on paper. But yeah, these Blue Jays again now only 1 interception and 1 sack on the season. What is going on with the Blue Jays defense? Gators again only 3 interceptions so far on the season, which is really low. So I'm shocked because both these 2 defenses are pretty good. The Gators do let up a lot of passing yards, but they've only gotten 3 interceptions, and it's shocking to see. And the Blue Jays only 1-1. Ouch. When it comes to fumble recoveries, the Vipers have had 3. Werewolves and Gators are up there, and there's a few teams that have never gotten a fumble recovery. So they may have forced a fumble, but they don't pick it up when they do. The Cobras, Wildcats, Rhinos, and Dragons. So that is really cool to see, actually. Now let's take a look at the efficiencies before we end the video here. When it comes to third down conversions, 30 conversions were made by the Werewolves, Bears, and the Dragons. Third down attempts, no one's had more attempts than the Werewolves, Bears, and Piranhas, which I'm shocked that the Bears have had so many third down attempts. Even though that their offense has not been doing really well. I guess they keep getting stopped on first and second, so it's forcing them into third down situations. And the Piranhas, that's what I wanted to see. These high-powered offenses, Vipers, Piranhas, and Werewolves, because they're on the field so much that you think they would see more third downs. That's why it's shocking to see the Bears here. But who has had the least third down attempts? That is the Wildcats, Cobras, Rhinos, and Blue Jays. So I'm shocked to see the Wildcats here, but and the Rhinos, because you would think that these offenses wouldn't have a lot of chances at third down. When it comes to conversions, who's had the least amount of conversions? Wow. The Cobras, only 18 conversions so far on third down. They are not looking good on third down with only 36%, which is extremely low. Let's take a look at the best. Gators are the best right now, tied with the Blue Jays, which I'm shocked. Blue Jays are extremely efficient on third down with their great running game. 58% for both the Gators and the Blue Jays. Bears and Vipers, Piranhas and Wildcats all do really well on third down, which is really shocking. And then when it comes to the Cobras, Dragons, Rhinos, they definitely struggle when it comes to third down conversions. And let's look at the fourth downs. No one's gone for more and converted more, should I say, than the Piranhas, Rhinos. They got it done when they need to get it done, and the Blue Jays, Bears, and Vipers have yet to convert a single fourth down conversion, but the Bears and the Vipers have not even made a fourth down conversion, so that's pretty cool to see. The Blue Jays attempted one but did not get it, but the Piranhas, every time they go for it, they get it. Rhinos went for it one thumb fourth down, it did not, along with the rest of the league, but the Piranhas are 100% on fourth down. Holy smokes. So that is pretty exciting stuff. Offensive red zone attempts. We'll take a quick look at this. I'll scan through it real quick for you guys that want to see it. But for the most part, we covered all this. Offensive red zone touchdowns. We didn't really cover that. Offensive red zone touchdowns, 7. So he's had 7 touchdowns with 14 attempts, where the Piranhas have had 17 touchdowns and 23 attempts. So that's what I'm seeing here. So when it looks at the conversions here of the offense in the red zone, no one is more efficient than the Piranhas, Vipers, Werewolves, and Blue Jays. When they get, and the Bears, even when the Bears get into red zone territory, and the Rhinos, they can convert. The only teams that really struggle in the red zone are the Wildcats, Cobras, and the Dragons. Everyone else seems to be pretty average, if not doing really good, like these Piranhas. I've only missed like 1 attempt or so. So that's pretty exciting, if that. So, yeah, that's pretty exciting stuff. When it comes to the defensive attempts, who is the best? So red zone, defensive red zone scoring. So the red zone attempts, defensive red zone touchdowns, and defensive field goals. So we'll take a quick look at this. This is penalties. Most penalties. Rhinos have not had a single penalty. That's pretty cool. Okay, and then turnovers. Interceptions thrown. 6, 6, 6, 6. And then interceptions thrown. Gators have only had thrown 2. Piranhas have only had thrown 3. Same with the Rhinos. Very efficient. Fumbles lost. Blue Jays, Bears, Piranhas, and Dragons. Fumbles lost. Cobras, Rhinos, and Gators and Vipers haven't had a single one lost. When it comes to giveaways, 8 giveaways so far from the Bears. Blue Jays, Wildcats, and Werewolves all have 7, but the Gators only have 2 giveaways. Same with the Rhinos, only 3 giveaways, so that is very efficient by them. That is really cool to see. Fumble recoveries, takeaway, turnover differentials. We see this pretty much on the weekly thing. Okay, and then our individual stats will cap it off. Most passing yards, Eric Reeves. Ron Simmons with the least amount, and J.J. Horton, Quincy Barnett, Randy Dorsey. We'll go through these real quick for you guys so you can see the stats. I'll run through these stats real quick and then I'll end the video. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Talk to you soon.